Welcome to Kilgallon's Pub, the podcast where I, comedian Joe Kilgallon, like to sit down with people, have some drinks, try to recreate that bar conversation we all know and love, but sober people you could enjoy it too. Not promoting alcoholism, just like to shoot the shit with people. You can follow the podcast on Twitter. That's at Kilgallon's Pub. Give myself a follow. I'm at Joe Kilgallon on Twitter, on Instagram. I've been killing it on both of those lately, I feel like. And it's maybe going a little unnoticed by some, not all. But I appreciate everyone who follows. I appreciate everyone who listens to this podcast. If you tell your friends about it, I really appreciate that. It does go a long way. iTunes reviews. If you write a review, I will give you a shout out on air. I'll read the review. And your little name, whatever your little iTunes name is. Some people have weird-ass iTunes names where it's like MC DJ McFuckface. And I'm like, well, I don't know who you are personally, but thanks for the review, pal. I really appreciate it. I'm excited for this podcast this week for you guys to listen to it. Thanks to everyone who listened to all the past episodes, of course. This is episode number 21. If you're new to the podcast, welcome. I hope you like it. Really, it's a comedy podcast, but it does get deep because we recreate the bar conversation. And when you're hanging out with your pals at the bar, you can talk about anything you want. It goes all over the place. Last week, we got really real and deep. That was Rena Calm's episode, so thanks to everyone who listened to that one. Rena got personal. She told her truths, and she's a female comedian who's hilarious, and she was accused of rape. I don't know how to say that. I didn't mean to say it like all funny about it, but, it's a big accusation. Didn't want to take it lightly either, but instead I made it silly. Anyhow, I'm recording this late at night. I do the intros later on. I did the interview, or the sit down, whatever the hell you want to call it. I don't really consider it an interview because I'm not asking questions, although I'll ask some questions, but really it's just a, bouncing around conversation. So thanks for the people who listened to that. Did I want to say anything about that particular, other than I didn't really know that's where we were going to go with it because I didn't have her on for that specifically, but if my friends have something big going on in their lives or any guest I have, because they're not all my friends. Sometimes I have a guest on where I'm like, I don't like this person at all, but sometimes it makes for good audio. No, I'm kidding. I'm cool with everybody. I'm all about love. I'm all about positivity. That's me. That's Joe Kill fucking Gallon. And so I was taken back a little bit about that part of it, but I appreciated it because when someone's that open and honest, how can you not? You know what I mean? It's part of what do they call it? It's a call out culture where any little wrongdoing people love to call out. And that I think needs to slow down a little bit. Not that you don't call out people who are shitty, you should, but it used to go to let's hear everybody out first. Everyone's like, well, the court of public opinion. You ever hear people say that? Well, that's, public opinion. Public opinion is scary because it's from the fucking public. Have you met the public? Look, you know what I mean? I think we're all very lucky to be alive and this is a great country and everyone, people act like things are way worse than they are. Things are actually pretty great. But still, I'm always a little bit, I like the old saying, a person is smart, people are stupid, because you get them all together and everyone's trying to, outswing each other's dick and it gets a little gray, it gets a little foggy. Nothing wrong with gray matter for that matter. I didn't mean to say it like that, but there's nothing wrong with gray areas, I meant to say. Gray areas is when you learn the most. You get to explore and go, okay, all right, I see how that was misconstrued, or I see where they're coming from there. All right, let's hear each other out a little bit. I wish there was more of that, because through that, people get better. And you learn more, and then everyone's happier, and that's what I'm all about. Hells to the yes. All right, enough of my silly bullshit up front. Oh, the podcast is now on Instagram. Got to tell you that, so follow Kilgallon's Pub on Instagram. I'm posting clips on YouTube now. Part 1 of last week's episode is on YouTube. The last few, I think the last 4 or 5 podcasts I've put all the way on YouTube. Some are video, some are just a picture with the audio, but you could hear them and watch them there. Also on Stitcher. Hopefully you're listening on, I don't care what you're listening on, actually. Some people are all about iTunes. I don't care what you listen to it on. Just listen to it. iTunes, Stitcher, am I on Podbean? No, I'm not on that one. SoundCloud. That's where I get my RSS feed from. So thanks to the SoundCloud people. All right, without further ado, let me intro the guest. My guest is a Chicago OG. Do I want to say that? He's been around for as long as I've been around. He's a staple of the Chicago comedy scene, a staple of America's comedy scene. Damn it. Very well traveled too. I discovered that out through this podcast. That's what's always fun. You get to know a little nugget about someone. You're like, oh, I didn't know that about you, man. That's cool. Hilarious dude. He's He's done it all in stand-up, really. He's was a producer on Hannibal Buress' Comedy Central show, which I think was called Why with Hannibal Buress. He's been on Inside Amy Schumer, which was a really funny sketch show. I feel like people gave Amy Schumer too much shit a little bit there. People, whenever they get so big, people just want to look to hate, right? But no, her show Inside Amy Schumer is really funny. It's great sketch comedy. And he tours across the country. I mean, he's been all over the place. So, and he's a great guy. I've always liked the Babylon's energy. You know, he's always. I just said his last name. Usually, I like to build up and then say the guy's name. But my guest is comedian Brian Babylon. He's awesome. Like I was saying before, he's got a good energy about himself. He's very honest too, man. I got back-to-back people who are honest. And this was more of a fun one, which I think I needed after last week's serious 2-hour episode. This one's a little bit tighter of a podcast. Some of you are probably thinking, man, you go 2 hours one week, an hour next week. I like to let the conversation flow. And like I've said before to people, you don't have to listen to the whole episode in one go. I listen to podcasts in chunks. The podcasts I'm a fan of, some of them are very long. I'm not going to sit there and just ignore my personal responsibilities and listen to a 3-hour podcast. That's insane. So listen to it as you go, and hopefully it entertains you along the way. So without further ado, why don't you grab yourself a drink and unwind a little bit and enjoy Kilgallon's Pub. Cheers. Brian Babylon, good to have you on Kilgallon's Pub. How are you doing, my man?
Man, one of my favorite pubs in the Chi, Kilgallon's Pub. You should move into next door.
Yeah, I don't know if I could afford the rent though.
Brennan's.
Yeah, Brennan's. Rest in peace.
I read that post. It's a club next door to the Laugh Factory. There's always
cool Chicago
chill.
Bar.
But I think they had like a Boston feel to it, so that's why it was always weird. But it was close. It was nice. They're empty. That was fast.
Yeah, like it's weird when a business closes that you know forever. That bar's been there for a long time because when the Laugh Factory used to be the Lakeshore Theater, we'd pop in there all the time.
Yeah,
and I liked it enough because I like any bar where your friends are, right? You ever get that shit where people are like, oh, I don't want to go there because I don't like the people there. I'm like, well, you don't have to be friends with them.
Yeah.
I used to try to get comics to go to like bars that were considered like bro-y. Because I'm like, oh, they got dollar beers. Let's go there for dollar beers. I'm like, yeah, but the dudes there are all fucking... I'm like, you don't have to fucking shake everyone's hand when you walk in. You go there.
That's true.
You take advantage of the cheap drinks, then you bounce. And if you go in there...
right next door, so it was convenient.
Very convenient. I'm all about convenience, too. But anywhere you go with a group of people, you're going to have a good time.
Yeah.
That's my thoughts about that.
Always.
And I always see you as a guy who has a good time. But what I like about you, and what I'm excited about this podcast in particular, is you do not hold back on your opinions.
No.
Which is great. Because I think there's a lot of people nowadays who are a little bit like, oh shit, I'm afraid to say this, I'm afraid to say that. I mean, as long as you're a good person and you know what you're saying and you believe your truth, then you're not gonna fucking ruffle any feathers. At the end of the day, people at least respect you for it.
Well, the thing is, I keep things real and I'm not a jerk.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times I know in my heart what I'm saying. There's some truth into it. So even sometimes if I see people talking on Facebook or something, but it's all about something, I will have to bring that legitimate devil's advocate position in on it.
Yeah, you made a post today that was pretty interesting, and I saw a lot of people going at you for it. We'll get into that in a little bit. I'd like to start off a little light. I want this to be a fun podcast because my last podcast was very serious. Everyone who follows the podcast, listened to last week, thanks. And thanks to everyone who's been checking out the podcast. Been having a lot of fun doing it, so can't thank y'all enough. I'm a big believer in, like, if you enjoy doing something, you got to thank the people who allow you to do it.
Yeah.
And we record this from the Laugh Factory. And we were just talking to our man Curtis here, who's the booker. Great dude. And this club has done so many good things for so many great comedians.
Real talk, I think and the funny thing is, I remember when I found out they were going to build this club, I was actually in Hollywood, California during the holidays. And I was with Dion Cole.
Oh, great comic.
Chicago legend.
He's on Blackish, and he's got his own show coming out soon, right?
His own show.
Well, he had that one on TBS I thought was really good that should have lasted longer. Dan Cole's Black Box.
Black Box. So really Dion's doing his thing. And we were hanging out in L.A., and he said, hey, you should meet Jamie. He's the owner. And we say, hey, buddy, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah.
It's a dead-on impression.
I'm actually building a club in Chicago. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. And then he's like, this guy is one of the contractors, some random contractor-looking white dude. So, yeah, man. We got everything kind of demoed inside. It's going to be on Belmont and Broadway. I'm like, fuck, Belmont and Broadway. You do Chicago.
Yeah, you kind of like, I know what's that intersection.
What's there to be a club? I was like, the Lakeshore? And he's like, yeah. I was like, all right. So I came home like a week later, and I saw the like Laugh Factory stickers and stuff on the wall, and then it opened up 2 months later.
Yeah, they got that
It's been totally different.
big marquee. Yeah,
The scene has been so much better since then. We were talking about.
I always had a theory that if all the clubs acted the way Laugh Factory does, in the sense that it's showcase style and they're booking the best comics that live in that city, because the clubs in New York and the clubs in LA will just put on the best comics there. They don't really do like weekend style, like you know when you go to like St. Louis or San Diego or
famous
Denver
in town
they'll bring in a headliner for the whole weekend.
Yeah.
We're here, they'll do that sometimes. You know, you got Theo Von coming up, and there's big names will come in for a weekend. But for the most part, they are just feeding the scene. And if every club did that here, less comics would move out of Chicago because the scene would thrive
I think
more.
you still need the place that has like, because people still want to see famous people. They still want to act like they went out. I think when people come here to the Laugh Factory, you feel like I'm a part of a comedy scene versus I went to a comedy show. Still went to a comedy show, but it's sort of like, it has that sort of like still a bar hangout mentality.
Yes.
Versus like a theater, like going to see a show at Chicago Theater.
Yeah, if you go see Bill Burr's Chicago Theater, you're
that's a
expecting
totally different
thing.
experience.
Yeah.
And I went with all my friends. You know, we were drinking, then we went outside, walked around. There's still a lot of foot traffic in this area to facilitate a night on the town.
I would agree there. Yeah.
And there's enough comics here to maintain this scene. If everyone did that, it would be weird. In my opinion, I don't know. Because Jokes and Notes have famous people on, which was an urban club in Chicago, had like the big names within the urban scene, but sometimes she would just make it be local.
Yeah.
And I think
a good balance of that's nice.
A good balance. I think she would have done better if she did that a little bit. Like 2 weekends out of the month instead of, because some people she would bring in didn't have that big a name.
Yeah, because then who are they drawing and stuff like that, where I feel...
Like, because that was...
Because if you build your brand, like people around here in Chicago, you know, it takes time to do. I think they know, Laugh Factory, it's always good. So I don't have to look up who I'm going to see. I just know I'm going to go there and it's going to be a good time. Where with other clubs, you're like, all right, well, who's there this weekend? Fuck that. I saw their clip. I'm not into it. Like, you know.
And the Wednesday night at Jokes and Notes was like the best open mic in Chicago. So you knew you had a lot of funny people locally. She could have done well with that. You know, that was my only, even since we're talking about it, my only critique about it. But this is the best scene in the country to start stand-up, The Shy.
Would you ever open up your own comedy club?
No,
right? There's some comedians who are like, I could, maybe when I get older, I'll run a club.
Never in a million years.
What, are you a business guy in the sense that you'd open up another type of business, though?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I'm definitely a businessman. Hannibal was just talking about that, like trying to get money outside of entertainment.
Got to get your money to work for you sometimes, right?
Yeah,
and like, Hannibal, I don't know if you'd mind me saying this. He owns a couple buildings, I think I've heard. Is he renting some? He's a landlord.
He got a building. Wicker Park. Just
that's a good investment.
I think he's tired with New York. I think he did an interview about it. Just tired of New York. When you are off the road, Chicago's fun.
Chicago really is. I mean, everyone who listens to this podcast know I'm a diehard Chicagoan, a homer. You know, I lived in LA for a few years there, and I didn't hate LA. People think I hated LA. I didn't. It's just not home. Chicago's got that great combination of it's got like, it's got a great downtown. You got a lakefront. You've got every neighborhood's got its own feel to it. Yeah. So I go to that neighborhood for Italian beef or Italian food, or if I go here for good,
It's just those 3 or 4 months when you don't want to fuck with it if you don't have to.
Yeah, man. Isn't that the dream, though? I always found it so funny to me because, I'm a dad now, and I go, damn, I wish the school year was different. I wish it would be where I, as a Chicagoan, could summer or could winter, I should say. It wouldn't be great, like, if the school year was... their kids were off for 3 months in the winter. That way, as a Chicagoan, I could go to LA and live there for the winter and take my family.
Yeah.
But now you get summer off. But summer here is amazing. You don't want to leave.
You don't want to leave.
I don't get the people who live in like a city like Chicago, and then every summer they're like, well, I got to go on vacation, and it's finally nice. The city is unbearable, godly unbearable from like December through March. November's okay. November could suck too. Yeah, it's you walk outside and you're like, oh my God, there goes my testicles. Like everything sucks.
Everything is horrible.
It's ice.
And I would say, for me, I've been doing it for 3 years. 4 years now.
I'm going back and forth.
Been able to, since I
between
moved.
Chicago and LA, yeah.
Yeah, I come home a lot in the summertime.
I'm so happy you were in town today too, man.
Yeah, for long stretches, I'll come home to Chicago, enjoy myself, then go Then I kind of like go to New York a few times, but then I spend a lot of time in the East Coast in the fall. That's my move. And then maybe pop back here, maybe Halloween, and then you probably won't see me a few times, but not as much as it was when it was warm. Until like
East Coast is pretty cool in the fall. That's a good spot.
Yeah, East Coast move because you got to keep
New York
for comedy.
once in like
you got to
early
keep
November.
it moving.
It was nice. Yeah, you definitely do with
You
comedy.
got to keep it moving. So I try to keep it moving between Chicago, New York, and LA.
Those are the three spots
And
to be.
and I've been living in San Francisco since.
Have you really? Shit, I didn't know that.
I've been crashing in the Bay since February, and I just go to LA when I have to for work or auditions or meetings and stuff. Cricket for a few days and then bounce.
That's a great. I'm envious of that right now.
Because I was getting I started getting tired. It wasn't working for me. It just wasn't. It was just
Because there's just so much like sitting around and waiting.
it's sitting around and waiting. And my apartment was I lived like in the Laugh Factory apartments. And had like no really windows. And I was like, I think I'm getting depressed up in here. And it's sunny outside. I didn't drive, so I would just kind of stay at my house and go places when I had to. I just didn't like it. So the San Francisco is cool as fuck for right now. It's annoying, but still cool. Cause
What's annoying about it?
man,
I don't think I have any San Francisco listeners, so
man, who cares if you do?
I don't give a shit if I do either.
I'll tell them that's their motherfucking face. First of all, I know you love dogs. Dogs are cool.
Yeah.
I'm not an over the top dog person.
I get that.
I respect.
I wasn't
dogs.
for a while.
I love dogs. If your dog is cool, cute, whatever. But I think people take it to another level of like when you spoil a child. You see what I'm saying? You know, somebody
Yeah.
you take that to a level to a dog. So dogs have too many. I don't like to see dogs in grocery stores. I don't like to see dogs.
Oh
where
yeah,
there's,
no,
like,
that's
open
fucking
food.
no. I'm not.
That's what I'm saying.
No, I'm a dog owner, but yeah,
Bro.
that's nuts.
Joe, listen
Dude,
to
they
me.
lick everything, and I love dogs, but
I
yeah,
don't
I don't
know
want
if-
them in the fucking frozen food section.
Dude, I posted this on somewhere where this dude had like a Marmaduke,
Like a big dog.
a Great Dane. This legit.
Oh, shit, yeah.
This dog
I
had to
forgot
be
that was
maybe like
Marmaduke.
4 feet high. Like I'm 6'3".
Those
Had
are like
to be
horses, yeah.
just walking around Best Buy. And then I look up, he's in Gus's, this grocery store. Like that's next door. I'm like, it's too much, man.
Because people
But-
forget San Francisco is actually a small city geographically.
It's tight.
It's tight. Like everything is real on top of each other there.
It's like it's not as spread out as LA. And
Oh, yeah,
I have
LA's sprawling.
I have a theory of how people take dogs too much. If you saw if there's a rampant homeless problem in the Bay,
Big time.
triple what it is here.
Yes,
downtown.
like even
you don't
triple
see-
New York
You only
even.
really see homeless people downtown, and smatterings maybe up here in North, even on the South Side.
Usually you see homeless people where they could panhandle. Where they could be like, hey,
Right,
you got some change.
right.
But San
Francisco, they are everywhere, okay? And I said this. It was this lady on Valencia, which is in the Mission. So it's tons of foot traffic, right? She's in the middle of the sidewalk on the corner in front of this. Come on, just come on.
Yeah, come on in, man.
There's this woman on the corner, in the middle of this crowded restaurant. People just walking past her, right? Not giving a fuck. I said this. I guarantee you, this is how people ain't shit. I guarantee you, if I took that woman out and put a raggedy ass Maltese that looks sickly there, it'll be a swarm of people willing to help.
Yeah, that's true. There is something about animals versus people.
It's crazy to me.
I remember being in grade school. We watched. It was like no, it was in grade school. It was high school. We were all at a buddy's house. It's like 15 people in his basement. So it was like a little basement party. I think we were all getting ready to go somewhere else. Maybe we were like juniors in high school. Braveheart was on TV. And, you know, the big fucking battle. So every dude at the party was like, fuck yeah, you know, everyone's watching. Some of the girls were watching it. And there's a scene where they like stab the horses, you know, because they got those long ass spears and the horses come charging in and they, you know, they fucking gut up the horses. And all the women were like, oh my God, the horses. And we're like, are you fucking kidding? 7 dudes just got their heads chopped off. Nobody blinked.
No one
the horses, everyone's like,
It's weird.
Yeah, it's a little weird, yeah.
It's bananas. And I'm saying like this. It was.
then again, the horses are innocent. So I get it. But you're right, though. There should be almost. You should, if you see a person lying on the street, it should at least fuck you up mentally for a little bit.
And I'm like, I looked it up. I was like, you know, these people spend like what, $6-7 billion on dog shit. I'm like this. I'm not saying don't feed your dog. Just feed it. But there's so much extra shit people do. I've heard people who've taken dogs to surgery spending like $9,000 because my dog ate my T-shirt. I have a friend whose dog ate a whole T-shirt. She had to get a surgery where it was like $5K for the surgery and then an extra $3 over the year just for.
I got to stick up for them a little bit because the dog becomes part of your family in a way. I understand what you're saying with the people who spoil their dogs.
10K, Joe,
10K
you
is
can
a
put
lot.
that money
Yeah, man,
in
I
the
couldn't.
bank.
I
You
could.
can put
I
that
mean,
in some
I would.
Bitcoins for
I
your
love my
son.
fucking dog, man. So I don't know. It's tough. Like I hear what you're saying with the overdoing it. When you said like San Francisco, it's like another level. I feel like that's a good way to describe San Francisco in general. Everything's like the next level, where any cause is. We're taking that cause to this extreme. Anything is like if everything goes above and fucking beyond in that town.
You want to hear something else?
Yeah,
I'll
of course.
tell you also, San Francisco's full of shit. They're the most liberal. That's ground zero for this liberal blah blah blah, right?
Yeah.
But those the rash of the things you see on the internet where white ladies are calling the cops on black people for dumb shit, it's all in San Francisco.
The Bay. I know the one was in Oakland where there was the barbecue.
And, dude, I'm talking about that.
What they call her, Plymouth Patty or something?
There, I get Adderall from a guy who lives there. So I know this neighborhood. It's a nice mixed neighborhood. Black people cook out there all the time. Black people are there all the time. The fact that woman thought that she should call the police on that was bananas. When that lady was in the San Francisco calling the cops on this little black girl selling lemonade.
Yeah, it's
then you know what she did for a living.
It's the fucking yuppie types,
You know what she
man.
did for a living? Her company, she lost her company. Her company was making cannabis-infused doggy treats for dogs with anxiety.
Wow.
You can't write that,
That's
Joe.
California stuff.
That's
no, for sure. Yeah, because I remember hearing about CBD oil for dogs and
That's crazy,
to calm them and chill them out and stuff. Yeah.
And last thing on why the Bay is the next level is because you know what the blue lights are?
No.
Blue lights. Saw it in Europe, didn't know what it was. Saw it in
I heard of like the red light district in Amsterdam.
No.
Similar? Nothing like that? Okay.
This is for a purpose. So I'm over these people's house in San Francisco. It was like a party, and they're like, "Yeah, we just bought this little place, blah blah blah," and they're talking, and then she's like, "Yeah, Mark has to install our blue lights in the back, so things are cool back there, but outside of that, our back's nice." I'm like, "What's blue lights?" She's like, "Oh, you have to install those if you have like a back porch or something, and that deters people from shooting up heroin on your property."
Jesus Christ. Wow.
Because the blue lights. I don't know if this is a race thing, but you can't see your vein if it's a blue light
shit.
on your skin.
Okay, that does kind of make sense, I guess, but wouldn't you just find it eventually? I don't know, but like I kept thinking the whole time you're telling me this, I'm like, why blue specifically? Why don't they use pink? It's blue because it would be hard to pinpoint a vein.
For some reason, I don't know.
Yeah, the town's got a bad drug problem.
Your eyeballs can't see your vein if it has a blue light.
See, I've been to San Francisco a couple times. One was just real quick. Went to a Cubs playoff game there in 2016 when they were playing, and another time I went with my wife for like a weekend, and it was fun. But you definitely could see there's like that. Like Carl Sandburg, who's a poet from Chicago, said about Chicago, never have heaven and hell been so close together. Mm-hmm. And when he was talking about how it's like there's a great neighborhood here, and you go a couple miles south, and it's literally the worst neighborhood you've ever seen. And I think San Francisco has that, but it's not like separated. It's all so that you see like someone walking out of Google's headquarters and they'll step over 7 homeless people. And I know that's not in San Francisco, but it's all this Bay Area thing because there's so much money there. The richest people in the country live there. Billionaires, tech billionaires.
Yeah,
these are 24-year-olds who created an app and they got $1 billion and they're like swinging their dick around,
up. Like,
is that a little bit more up?
Like in the city. The city is too small, but it
is. It's like it would be like the equivalent of
it's not like Chicago,
half the north side.
Have those like big ass neighborhoods. There's no. I didn't
see any backyards really. Like
everything is tight. There's no like Inglewood or back of the yards.
Yeah,
that if that is that, it's probably in some bad part of Oakland.
Yeah, you're right.
You see
because they pushed a lot, and the funny thing is, Oakland now is
nice.
Yeah. Because everything got
fuck.
so expensive. In San Francisco, I know I've got listeners in like some rural parts of the country. For what? It's like $3,000 a month for a studio apartment. Sometimes more expensive, I've heard.
Yeah.
Like you would know. I've heard like people are paying $4,000 for a 1-bedroom in downtown.
The
like
place I'm crashing at, I found out how much they pay in rent.
Jeez. Like, could you say?
$5,800.
How big's the place? Like,
nice size.
Good size? But 5,800.
5,800.
5,800. That is the mortgage on $1 million house.
That's
Close to it. Maybe not that much, but
on a
good
McMansion, on a nice McMansion.
on like a good 5-bedroom, 4-bedroom house in Chicago,
or somewhere in
maybe a $700,000-$800,000 house.
In the burbs of Georgia, Atlanta.
Oh yeah, I actually have I get some statistics. I don't know who's listening, but I get through my SoundCloud feed, I can know what cities. I have a lot in Atlanta, so which is cool. I don't know a lot. But that's great. I was in Atlanta once when I was a kid to see the Cubs play the Braves. I was 7, so I got to get picked down there. But
I went to college down there.
Yeah,
I lived there for 5 years.
Nice.
Clark Jones lived there.
Oh, you went to
Miles.
Moorhead?
No.
No, what's it called?
They went to Morehouse.
Oh, Morehouse. Sorry,
I went next door to the cooler school, Clark Atlanta.
Clark Atlanta. All right, cool. That sounds cooler, actually.
You know who was in one of my classes? Or 2 of my classes. In one class we had all together. It was me. Kenyon Barris, the guy who created Blackish.
Yeah, I know the name.
Brian Barber. You probably might have known
Who's
him.
Brian Barber?
Brian Barber, he directed the Outkast video, Hey Ya.
Oh, okay, cool.
And he made the movie Idlewild.
Oh, okay, cool.
And Emmanuel Lewis.
Oh, yeah? Webster?
Nice. And guess who our instructor was?
I'm never going to guess.
Whitman Mayo, a.k.a. Grady from Sanford and Son.
Oh, that's hysterical, man. I used to watch that show in reruns on Channel 50 when I was a kid.
Dude, it was.
It would come on after
Whitman Mayo was
All in the Family.
Was one of our teachers.
How can you take him seriously? That'd be so weird if
because it was like the coolest class. You go in and pretty much let him just talk shit.
Would he tell stories?
Tell stories and just talk about how business, and it was sort of like hearing the Hollywood perspective from just an old school dude who had been down there and he did it.
When I first moved out to LA, I was working on this show called Sullivan and Son, where I was doing stand-in work, and the one director, I know his last name's Lewis. I forget his first name. Something Lewis. He's been in a bunch of. You ever see this show Scrubs? Mm-hmm. He played Hooch on Scrubs. This one doctor that would lose his mind about shit whenever they'd fuck with him. And then
white dude?
No, black guy. He's a black actor, and now he's doing mostly directing. Phil Lewis, I think.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, look him up. But so he was telling us the story because we're all hanging out in between, they were setting shit up, And he was cool because some of the directors were just all business and fucking do this. So he would actually hang out and talk to the stand-ins and the extras and just hang out, And he was telling us a story about that he had heard from Red Fox's manager, I think. Mm-hmm. So Red Fox, it wasn't Sanford and Son, but when he had the Red Fox show. Yeah. 2 weeks in or something like that, he wasn't happy with the writing. So he fired all the writers and I need to get black writers in here, right? So they hired an all black writers room. Then they handed in their first script. He read it and was like, I need my Jews back. Let's get the Jews back in here. Yeah. I just thought it was fucking hilarious.
The game was probably so crazy back then. Now you could really have freedom to do exactly what the fuck you want. Shit is so open now.
Because I think back in the 70s, it was just everyone it was all Jewish writers.
Tight,
yeah. Oh yeah, you couldn't fuck around. Yeah.
You had 3 networks. There was no cable.
Yes.
There was no internet.
People forget that too, man. 3 networks back then.
We had 3 shots.
So if you had a show that did 2 seasons, that would be like a show doing 7 seasons now.
It's in dog years.
Right?
What shit was like back in those days.
Let me get back to the business thing real quick because it's been on my mind lately because a bunch of my friends, the podcast is called Kilgallon's Pub. And when I was in high school, we had to pick a business we would want to do for some class. And I joked about I didn't joke, but I wrote a thing how I wanted to start my own bar. And I called it Kilgallon's Pub.
Yeah.
The reason I did the podcast is because I like having drinks with people. I like to recreate the bar conversation, People have listened. They're like, dude, we fucking know you say this every week. Anyhow, now I got some friends of mine who are kind of entrepreneurial dudes who I went to high school with. And they're sending me links. This bar's for sale. This part, what do you think about this area? And I'm like, I don't have money for this shit. They're like, yeah, but you could run it. You got ideas. You could always get money. We could do bank. They're all so fucking into that. So I got to ask you, because I hinted at it earlier, and you and Hannibal are talking about it. What business would you start? Obviously not comedy club. We already determined that would be a no. What business, if you could start any business, what would you want to be the owner of?
I mean,
I'm putting you on the spot a little bit with that question. I feel like so.
Well, it would be a few tiers. If it was the first one, like you're saying, a bar or something, I would never just open a bar because I would have anxieties of how many drinks I would have sold to pay rent and blah, blah, blah. It would have to be some type of hybrid situation where I would want to have some type of coin-operated laundromat infused with a coffee house where you can sell alcohol too.
That's cool. There was a bar on Southport in Chicago that it wasn't called Laundry Bar, but they nicknamed it that because the laundromat was connected to the bar, so people could grab their drinks and do their laundry.
Yeah.
But that's gone. So there's a hole in that market. And the coffee house aspect's pretty cool too.
Coffee, as long as you can keep as many cups going of different things, because I would never just want to make a coffee house.
That's smart. Diversify.
Diversify. So that was that. Next one, I was telling Hannibal that I know this guy who's like lives in I think near Boston, and he has gotten into VIP porta potties game.
Like really fancy ones?
Really fancy ones with like hardwood floors, nice, and you can, if you have like an event out somewhere and you need bathroom services like for weddings, he's been booked this whole time. I was like, dude, HB, like I think they only cost like 10 stacks or 15 stacks, and he has it.
I like anything like that because once you own the product, you're then just renting it out.
You're just
and
renting
then
it out, and it's going to pay for itself. So the guy's bought like 5 more because he pretty much the first 2 he was just fucking around. They were sold for the next 2 years, so he had to buy some more just to cover that cost. So that
totally.
And then my dream, and this is how I give back to my community. I believe the future, and we're getting deep at the Kilgallon's pub.
Fuck yeah, dude. That's what bar conversations start. Like sometimes, you get deep.
The future is 3D printing. The future is how Asia got so rich, and those Asian countries they were able to make this little thing right here, a shitload of those.
Little piece of plastic or something.
Plastic somewhere for a penny, and then sell it to you for. You know what I'm saying? That, and then they're selling to the consumer for like 75 cents. You see what I'm saying? So it's like printing out these little like widgets, taking that from a lot of those Asian companies, bringing it to the inner city where you have large scale 3D printing operations, and then you can still pay people a fair wage. Figure that out because you can do it on a different volume set. We'll get into that.
That's cool. I like that. I think
3D printing is I've been on it since the beginning, and the scale of what you can do some shit with is cuckoo town.
Well, there's a guy who's trying to they put a stop to it, but he 3D printed a gun that shoots.
Yeah, I've been on that for like 6 years. I've seen. So you can get those specs anywhere.
I mean, you can find anything on the internet.
Yeah,
pretty much, right?
Like we were fucking around on the dark web last summer, just doing it. Motion Casher had that show on Comedy Central for a little bit, and they talked about the dark web. So we were like, before we went on there, we were just kind of just looking at shit on crazy. That stuff scares the shit out of me because you go too deep on there. You're like, I don't want to know this world. Like if we really wanted to get like a drug gift bag, like a little bit of heroin, a little bit of coke, some Valiums, whatever. Blah, blah, blah. It's so bananas. It's like so bananas where it's like, wow. And then, because you just buy a couple of Bitcoins from a vending machine and you're in business. Because I remember, this is how I'm mad. I got a friend who made some good money off Bitcoin. I'm mad at myself because I just happened to have this disposable income where I could have done it. But I was just too ignorant and too dumb to even Google what this was about and understand. I remember I remember. You remember Meltdown Comics? Yeah, on Sunset in L.A. Mm-hmm. Which is gone now. The comedy show's gone. But in that comic book store, they had a Bitcoin machine. Did they? They had a Bitcoin machine. You could buy Bitcoins at Meltdown. Holy shit! I remember I was on the show, and Kumail was standing right next to me. I was talking to Kumail. I was like, "What's up going on?" I was like, "Dude, what the fuck is a Bitcoin? I've been hearing about this. What's that?" "Yeah, by amounts of Bitcoin." "Yeah, it's like cryptocurrency." And he said it to me so matter of fact, and I didn't want to be like, "Oh yeah." I didn't want to say, "What's cryptocurrency?" "Oh yeah, cryptocurrency." Like I knew what the fuck it was. I got you. I do that a lot. And then I was like, so pretty much I just put my debit card in for $200 for one of them. It was $200 for one of them. That's how long ago this was.
Yeah, because they got way higher than that.
They're like 16 grand now.
Yeah, I know a dude who bought them for like a couple grand each and then flipped them. I think about like 4, so maybe he spent 8 grand total and flipped it for like 50 grand profit.
Dude,
Yeah,
I was like,
something
so wait,
sick.
I put my debit card in for $200 and I get what, a sheet of paper? Fuck that. Like that is, it just didn't even.
Well, because it's such a whenever things something's new, that's what always annoys me though. Because I'll come across stories or testimonials from these rich people. Like, here's how I got rich off of this thing. Yeah, because you already had the money to take that risk of being
that
like
risk.
If you had unlimited, if you were filthy rich, you'd be like $200. Fuck it.
Honestly,
I'll wipe my ass with that.
I didn't even need the risk. I just needed the knowledge.
You're all right. I like that. That's a way better way to look at it.
I needed the knowledge because
if you have the knowledge, it's not that risky.
I was like, Kumail, what the fuck's a Bitcoin? He would have told me, oh, it's like having something. He would have had.
I like that Kumail is on that show, Silicon Valley. So you better know what Bitcoin is. Research your role.
He would know a little bit. Or the person at the fucking counter or at the fucking meltdown. I didn't even have that. And I was like, fuck that. I ain't doing that. And then the next time I came there, it was $800.
So that tells you something right away.
I was like,
fuck, man.
Well, now I'm definitely not doing it, but because I don't have $800. But fuck, this shit is real.
I know, man.
And then it was.
I get so pissed off when I've heard different stories about that. Like, I had a friend who was offering. He mentioned the Bitcoin thing. He actually had a Facebook status saying, if you don't know knowledge about it, hit me up. We could talk it through. Because I think he felt like I just found a pot of gold and I want to share it with people. Yeah. So I even give him credit for that. Because some people are like when they find something good, they want to keep that shit to themselves. But yeah, I remember the Bitcoin craze.
The craziest shit I saw.
And now he's adding another floor to his house.
The craziest shit I saw. This was
smart man.
This was maybe last October. I was in Berlin. It's my favorite town, by the way.
Berlin?
Chicago. Berlin, Germany. My favorite town. I'm in Berlin kicking it. And
why is it your favorite before you go into the story? I'm just curious. I've never been to Germany.
Oh.
I've only been to America, Canada, and Ireland. I've never been to Mexico. I got to get out there.
I mean, it's too long.
Too long?
I lived there off and on. That's where I kind of.
Did you really? Dude, you know what, Brian? Like, we hang out and we shoot the shit, but there's a lot I don't know about you, man.
I lived there after I worked at United. This is before I started stand-up. So
that's right. I forgot you used to work in United.
I was a grown-ass man. Before. You know what I'm saying? I started stand-up late. So I was like, after they went bankrupt, I had like flying benefits for like 3 or 4 years. I was just kicking it. And then me and my friends went to Europe. We went to Berlin randomly. I met this chick at a club. Her English wasn't hot. We just hit it off. So I was go back and forth living with her for like 2 years. And then I was like, okay, I got to get a job.
Yeah.
And then when I was in Berlin, I was like, I think I'm going to try to do stand-up. Because I went to an open mic in New York. And then...
Hold on. You mean to tell me you started stand-up in Berlin, Germany?
No, I came up with like...
okay.
I was like I'm going to do it.
Inspired you there.
So I kind of started writing jokes in Berlin and then flew back to Chicago. And then I flew back home. And then I realized they were opening up a stand-up comedy club across the street from my house. That was Jokes and Notes.
Yeah, in Bronzeville.
Yeah, it was legit across the street from my building.
How about that, man?
So I was like, fuck it. But no.
Yeah, Berlin at that point, it's like you're too late. If you don't fucking go across the street and try it. Yeah, right?
So Berlin is dope as fuck. You don't have to really speak German to get by. Most people speak English.
A lot of Europe's like that these days, I've been told.
Yeah,
you could go to Paris and not know
even
French.
Paris now, like, I used to hate Paris, but I like it now because now I think with a smartphone, it's a totally different game. You have a little bit more control over shit. But the reason I talked about Berlin was in October when I went back, I don't do coke a lot. It's like maybe every once in a while. It's small Benjamin Franklin amounts. My girl bought some coke with Bitcoins. They have these little jump drive, whatever she tapped on this dude's thing, it deducted her Bitcoin out of her little Bitcoin card thing.
Yeah, because I think that's what scared a lot of people about Bitcoin. They go, what does it pay for? Well, how do we use it? So if I have one Bitcoin that's worth $3,000, how do I give a fraction of my Bitcoin to buy a car? Yeah. Or whatever.
It's like the fraction of whatever the rate is now. And it goes and it fluctuates.
Man, this shit is beyond me.
It blew I was like, wow, I am so slack jaw Yoko. I felt like somebody from like small town Indiana or something like, oh golly, you bought drugs with computers?
Hot damn.
Yeah, but it was like, and it was in the park. It's like this park, Goldstar Park, is like the drug park where you pretty much can get whatever you want. And these
Cocaine's illegal in Germany, right?
it's illegal, dude.
I mean, I didn't know how, some parts of Europe, it's like, whatever the fuck you want.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Everyone does cocaine in Germany and in Europe. Everyone.
Everybody.
Everybody. I think if you
That's a
Google
drug
it,
that I've never really even wanted to do because I don't like, well, I have a little bit of a heart thing. So it's nothing serious. I just have a little heart thing. It's called a mitral valve prolapse. So, but that's why I've never wanted to fuck. I don't want to do anything that gets my heart racing like crazy.
You don't let by
I like more things that chill you out.
Chill you out.
I mean, alcohol gets you pumped up a little bit, but not like fucking cocaine or speed or anything.
never.
I mean?
That's not my thing. I mean, I'm a pot smoker. That's everyone that I do that, but it's just like once a year, or I could skip a couple of years, but it's like, all right, fuck, come on. There's a reason, like clearly. All right, fine, let's do it. But over there, man, they go hard.
Marty DeRosa used to always joke around. He told a story about being all fucked up on coke. He's like, look, I don't do coke a lot, but come on, it was the Super Bowl. I'm going to do coke on it. It's the Super. How do you not do coke on the Super Bowl? Yeah, it's hilarious.
But yeah, that's why I know if you get a chance, go to Berlin.
Go to Berlin. I do got to do some European thing. It's tough now that got a 1-year-old, but like maybe down the road. The road. What I'm hoping for though is, as a comedian, you got opportunities to go to Europe sometimes, and I kind of want to be able to maybe jump on a USO tour or jump on something like that and go. But I know my wife's going to be like, well, what the fuck? You get to go over Europe, and I'm going to be at home. And I'm like, hey, I don't hang out at the hospital with you. We got different jobs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, because your children are still around. They're in Chicago, right?
Yeah. My mom grew up in Iowa and moved back there like almost 10 years ago now. My dad, he lives closer to the club than I do.
Are her parents...
Her dad was way out of the picture way back in the day, but her mom's still alive.
But so you got people like support systems. We're not bringing that up. Like
my dad, I see my dad and stepmom a lot.
Let's babysit. Let's put some.
That's true. Yeah, I could definitely have them.
3 years old, trust.
Yeah, because when he's 1, it's a little tougher to just disappear for a week. But when he's a little older, you know what I mean. 3 to 5.
Yeah,
I go out there.
A nice little a Euro plan. That's one. Yeah, you don't know about me. I'm the best at that.
Yeah. Well, you're a guy that I feel like there are some friends you have where you're like, man, I need a good concrete guy. You're like, I fucking got a guy for you.
Yeah,
like
on some.
You would be Red in Shawshank. You know how to get everything.
I can point you in the direction.
You can point you in the direction. There you go.
Direction. But then you get there. Then one thing I like about going over there is you get over there, then the dude you think has the connections ain't shit, because there's that guy over there who could, like, you need some things shipped from this country to this. That's the real juice.
I like when you did your German impression. You put your finger over your mouth.
That was.
I thought you were doing like the Hitler mustache when you fucking did it.
They don't fuck around with that shit over there.
No, I've heard that. I talked to a German person once a few years ago at a show.
Super.
And it just came up, and they're like, we are totally embarrassed and ashamed of that. I mean, we were like, that was like the most evil shit, So like we run and hide from that.
Yeah.
So I would tell people, I'm like, when they took down the Confederate statues, I'm like, yeah, look, no one's erasing the history. They still teach it in the history books.
They know about it.
If we were ripping pages out of those books, I'd be like, yeah, I agree with you. That's stupid, because how do you can't just ignore your horrible past, because how do you learn from it? But you shouldn't be celebrating these assholes by putting statues up either. Yeah. So I like the German way in that sense.
That's funny. When I was a kid, I went through a Nazi phase.
You went through a Nazi phase?
When I had to be fourth grade, I went through a Nazi phase, unbeknownst to me. I was getting these like war picture book encyclopedias, and I was going through them. Then when I hit World War II, I'm going through them, and they just started talking about the Nazis, and that the pictures they had were like humongous, like, whoa, this shit looks cool as fuck, man. The uniforms, and man, I just was like caught up in it.
They do that creepy ass military walk where their legs are going super fucking high. Yeah, it was like, man,
this shit looks cool as fuck, right? So I started just drawing swastikas everywhere. You know how you kid just doodle.
Oh my god, dude! I have a story about that. Go ahead, though. I'm sorry.
I just started swastikas. Drew a swastika on my Timberland boat shoes, and then I went to this thing with my dad, and he just happened to look at my shoes. He was like, "Dude, what is that, Brian?" I'm like, I know it's a symbol. It means like war or something. I saw it in his book. He's like, "Oh, so that's Nazis, man." I was like, "What's that?" He's like, those were the bad guys. Those are the guys we were fighting. He's like, then he said this. You remember in Blues Brothers, those guys after the Blues Brothers? I'm like, the Cowboys? He's like, no. Remember they were at the park? And then my mother was like, no, the
Fucking
people
Illinois
who were
Nazis,
against
yeah.
Indiana Jones. I was like, oh, yeah. Why you say Indiana? So
Yeah.
fast forward 2 years later, my mom, I used to go to London every summer to visit my cousins who were in the Air Force. And my mom met me over there one summer, and I was going in the 6th grade, and we took this European van trip with this other family, and we made a stop at Dachau concentration camp, right? And she's like, we're going to take this tour. I'm like, all right, yeah, that looks interesting. All right, let's do it. So I'm in 6th grade now. We're going through the tour, and then me and my mother get to this one part of the tour where it's a pile of, like, shoes that I guess the concentration people, it was, like, powerful.
Yeah, that's heavy, man.
Pile of shoes, right? So we're standing there. I'm like, man, my mother was looking all serious. Then she turns to me. She was like, see, Brian, this is why you shouldn't like Nazis. I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, you shouldn't like Nazis. I'm like, I don't like Nazis. Like, we're whisper arguing this at this concentration camp. I was like, I don't like fucking Nazis. What are you talking about?
I don't like Nazis. Just like the logo.
Then she went out. She was like, remember you were drawing the swastikas everywhere, and they were on your. She was like, Mom, I was in 4th grade. I'm not into that anymore.
Yeah.
I'm into titties and basketball.
Plus, 4th graders don't have like a fucking manifesto of like, here's what I believe, and this is why these people are bad. You know,
you brought me all the way over here just to.
That's a hell of a point. That's an expensive point.
Man, like,
damn.
I don't like Nazis anymore. I was like, that was a phase. I didn't mean.
You know, when they catch like a kid smoking cigarettes, they go, you're going to smoke this entire carton, so you're sick. You don't want to smoke cigarettes anymore. They took you to a fucking.
Take you to North Carolina, Chapel Hill, and
the concentration camp. Good Lord.
Dude, I was like, she was so serious. She's like,
they shoved tobacco down your mouth, basically.
This is why you shouldn't like Nazis. I'm like, what are you talking about? I was like, because I really dude.
Of course you're going to forget that shit.
Like,
yeah.
What?
God, when I was in 4th grade, I thought cats truly had 9 lives. Like, that's how dumb I was.
That was cool at the point. I don't like Nazis no more. I like basketball.
It's obviously a horrible symbol because of the hate behind it, but from like, if there was, that symbol got stolen from another culture.
The Assyrians or the Aryans.
I thought it was like, Indian too. I thought Indians, even. Yeah. It was part of that.
Gong has it. It's a lot of things. Like
so, like look.
That's funny.
From the looks of it, it's not like a bad logo, but obviously the hate behind it makes it terrible.
She went in my room and I drew them everywhere. They were on my Trapper Keeper.
That was this is the Trapper Keeper thing. This is the story I have for you, man. You'll get a kick out of this shit.
I went through
Yeah,
the phase.
I broke my leg sophomore year of high school, like 6 days before our first game, and I went to a public grade school, but then I went to an all-guys Catholic high school on Chicago's Northwest Side, and we were facing Lane Tech, which was the big public school, and I had a lot of friends on the Lane Tech team because I went to a public grade school, so, you know, most of my friends went to the public high school, so I was jacked up, so it sucked that I broke my leg because I wasn't going to play. Anyway, get to the point of this story is that I fell asleep during, like, study hall, and I had a friend who was, like, very quick with it. He could do a swastika, like, that quickly. I passed out on the bottom of my cast, because I had a big cast all the way down that covered most of my foot, you know, from like the kneecap down. They drew swastikas all where I couldn't see them because I was dead asleep, right? Really funny. So when I went to go get the cast removed and fucking Dr. Goldberg, you know what I mean? Like, I had a Jewish doctor. He kind of was giving me like a look. And then later I just said, look, I didn't know. I had friends because I later saw it after the cast came out. I mean, he didn't say anything because what was he going to say at that point? But I had to address it after I realized because they sawed the cast off. And I saw it, I was like, whoa.
That's been there for like weeks.
God, it was bad. Because when you crutch the foot leads like that, I can't imagine if I was in certain places where they're like, what the fuck?
You're just laying up.
Luckily, I didn't really hang out in Jewish parts of town. Chicago is such a big, like, Christian Catholic city. There's really only like 1 or 2 neighborhoods that are Jewish even.
You got to go to
mostly
North
suburbs. Yeah, North Shore, like Skokie, and then up in like Highland Park. And
yeah, you got to go
way up there a little bit. I think Glenview's
they
got some Jewish people.
They used to live in Hyde Park and in Bronzeville. Actually,
Rogers Park's still some Jewish people, that part of the city.
In Hyde Park, yeah.
Yeah,
and,
I think there's still some.
And actually on
Hyde Park's like the one neighborhood in Chicago that's kind of mixed.
Yeah.
It's like black and white.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a few, but like where it's almost 50-50 in a weird way.
UFC there.
Yeah, University of Chicago, you're right.
But a lot of the rich Jewish people lived in Bronzeville up and down King Drive, which was the boulevard. Because on right next door to my building, the Marx Brothers used to live.
Oh, damn.
All 3 of them had a different unit. And they had the like little plaque out there.
You're bringing up fucking things that are reminding me of great stories. I can't remember if it was Groucho or which Marx brother. There's two of them. I mean, there's 3 or 4, but the two got into fights about finances because the one, maybe it was Groucho, who put all this money into the stock market. Mm-hmm. And Harpo never saved a dime. He was running around drinking, having a good time. He would go into a bar and buy everyone a drink, women around, living. He was like Babe Ruth, living fast, having a blast.
Gotcha.
Where the brother was like, we got to be careful with our money, you never know. And all this is, we're artists and blah, blah, blah. And would always put all his money in the stock market saying, I'm the smart. The stock market crashed. And they talked to Harpo, like some newspaper, and they said, well, we're both even now. And guess what? I had a lot more fun than he did. Because he lost all his fucking money. And he's like, hey, I'm broke too, but at least I've got a lot of fucking memories for it.
Because you talk about, man, those backs, either you can make money or be broke. Most of those cats were broke, like the Stooges.
Yeah,
broke.
People don't realize this. Before the Depression, you were rich or you were poor. Yeah. The middle class FDR basically created the middle class. Yeah. There really wasn't one. It was you're working class or you're rich. Yes.
Or you're maybe a store owner.
And it's weird because you talk about London. So watch this. I can't remember what it was, but they were talking about like, we root for Manchester United. Or no, we root for Manchester. I don't know, like soccer, but we root for Man City because that's the working class team. Manchester United, that's the middle class team. I remember going, middle class. I thought working class and middle class were kind of the same. They're not. Working class is like you're poor, and the middle class is like you have a little bit of money.
A little bit, like like shop owners or like someone who has like a decent union job,
like a decent union job, or you're a manager, or you're a little bit where working class is. I make the burgers. Middle class is you're the manager at the McDonald's. Like that's how I would equate that.
The rich is I own the McDonald's.
Totally. All right, man. Let's get into this then.
All right.
Well, I got you here. You had a post today.
Okay, yeah, let's do this.
Let's do this. You're cool with that. And what I in particular, because there's certain things that I feel like being. I grew up middle class. My neighborhood was a little bit of gang activity, but not much. It's better, a lot better now. But there's realities that I can't comprehend, so I try not to get into those parts of it.
Yeah.
But I'd love to hear your takes on it, obviously, because I like to be a good listener. And my favorite thing about doing comedy is I've got friends from all over the place who have experienced shit that I'm like, holy shit. And then I've got friends where I'm like, you don't know fucking anything. So it's kind of fun to see both of that in a weird way when you get in these heated conversations. But your post that really got me is when you talk about these wokes. So anyway, just you real quick, why don't you just say the status? Because I remember your status update, but I don't know it word for word. You want to just take your phone out and read it exactly? I'll give you some time.
This was today.
It was a Facebook post today. It was based off of some protests that went down in Chicago. What was that, on Friday these went down, or Thursday?
Thursday,
Friday.
Either the start of their plan was to be there a big Cubs game, some Lollapalooza traffic.
Yeah, there was a lot going on.
Busy going on. There's a group of protesters who they'd done this on the south side.
They did on the Dan Ryan
on 95th Street. So it's not just they want to mix it up.
Yeah, and it started in L.A. too. I remember a few years ago when I was in L.A., there were people blocking
traffic,
the highways,
just to bring light to situations.
Yes.
And these people are protesting the gun violence in Chicago. Okay?
Yes.
My post was this. The Lakeshore Drive shut down protests on the north side this past weekend. Everyone knows that. Mm-hmm. But there were 63 people shot Sunday, 10 dead. Let me stop before the goofy wokes come at me. Meaning, goofy woke people are people who are just part PC, part just against the system. I feel manically without being laser pointed on what the fuck you're talking about. How can you get a real solution? That's
fair.
A goofy woke for me. Then I say, I wish I was Luke Cage so we could really take on the real problem. Gang members and clowns in our own hood. White folks going to a Cubs game don't have anything to do with this. And if you disagree, look deep inside yourself. Meaning,
I thought that was a great post, yeah.
Meaning, if you're going to protest, you're protesting gun violence in the South Side, gun violence in the West Side, gun violence in majority black neighborhoods. There's these group of protesters, black, some are white, Latino, whatever. There's a group of people who feel that they need to stop someone else's life on the side of town that this wasn't happening. They feel for some reason, some people responded, no, we need to bring awareness to white people to know that what's happening in our neighborhood. They know what's happening in their neighborhood because it's on the news all the time.
It is all the time.
When I go out of town, or I travel a lot, Europe, California, everywhere. I'm from Chicago. Whoa, is it dangerous there?
Yeah.
White people clearly know what the fuck is going on in the hood in Chicago.
People are afraid. I can't remember what city I was in. I was on the road and someone's like, we're supposed to go to Chicago, but like, I'm just so worried about it. I go, look, you're going to be fine. You're going to stay in somewhere nice off of Michigan Avenue. You'll be fine.
You're not on 67th and Loomis, unless you're on 67th and Loomis looking for some heroin or something.
Yeah.
That's the only time a white person, and that happens. Anytime you ever see just some white people walking around randomly in the ghetto, they're looking for drugs. Yeah,
there was a diner up in my neighborhood off of Montrose and Central called Johnny's Diner, just a typical Chicago diner. And it then later changed name to Johnny's Uncle Jim's because Johnny died. He went on the west side, actually. He went to the west side to buy cocaine and got shot at North and Laramie. Yeah.
And
so,
it's like if you're doing that, you're doing that. But I'm saying for the situation, and I
only brought that up to echo your point. Yes, that's the truth. Yeah.
The reason I brought that post up was what does some random person going to a Cubs game have to do with this? There's a list of things, and I say this, and I just told you, come from a very different background than someone in the inner city, but I was there all the time. I have family members who live in the hood. I own property in Bronzeville off of 47th Street, which is, you can't get any more south side than that. So I do have stake in this conversation as someone who, a lot of times, some affluent blacks or educated blacks leave a neighborhood because they feel, I need to go to Winnetka where things are better, instead of staying in your own fucking hood, making your own fucking shit dope with your smartness and your financial resources.
Well, that's the big thing that people don't realize. Chicago is, and again, listeners who are from around the country, you're getting to Chicago. I want you to just relate this to your city, and this is a fascinating thing. This is a big American city, but Chicago is the only major city from the last census to lose population. But what people don't talk about, because I think a lot of ignorant people think, it's probably just scared whites going to the suburbs. That's a little bit, but you know what it really is? It's affluent black people leaving the city.
No, it's affluent black people in the city, and it's also poor people living in the city because they can't afford to live in the city anymore.
Yeah, that's true too.
You have to move to Harvey, Markham, Alsop, in the burbs.
Yeah.
Where, because if you remember back when, what's my homeboy's name? He's a comic. He did with Tim Reed and
what's his name? How am I blanking? Tom Dreesen.
Tom Dreesen,
great guy.
My man Tom Dreesen.
I like Tom.
He's from Harvey, Illinois. When he was in Harvey was all white. Okay? Now Harvey is like Baltimore.
Wasn't Shay Shay from Harvey? Remember Shay Shay?
Shay Shay was from Harvey. Wildcat, Michi, they all from Harvey. But back then, the suburbs was white as fuck. Now they all black because people can't afford to live in the city. So back to this thing, my post is you can't expect results with some marching like that. Marching doesn't do anything.
And you brought up the Apple Store protest they did a couple years ago on Black Friday.
And I say that someone was talking about, well, marches do something. I was like, okay, that protest is different than the Apple Store protest, because the Apple Store protest was, we're calling that Laquez Martin or whatever, the guy who got shot by the cops.
Oh, Laquan McDonald. Yeah, I forgot that. That's
now,
true.
If you were protesting the North Side shut down because cops killed some kid or cops did something, I wouldn't have said shit.
Gotcha.
Because you are protesting a system. And if people on the North Side pay into that system, they need to be aware of what the system is affecting other people that you're paying into. Because if somebody was up here, cops was shooting Irish dudes for some strange reason, I would be out there saying, shit, they can shoot me next.
Yeah.
You're protesting the system.
Gotcha.
Protesting
That'd be pretty
violence.
Weird if cops started shooting Irish dudes.
You see what I'm saying?
I know, I'm kidding around.
protesting gun violence in the community to some white people over here
Or 15 miles up from
15
you or
miles
whatever.
up,
Yeah.
living their own life. I don't know what the fuck you're doing. They're like, and okay, what if? Okay, then I should have said this. I didn't post this. I said, okay, your dreams come true. You get 60% of the white people that were affected by your things. Say, okay, no mas, you win. Where do I write the check? What's your motherfucking answer?
That's a good point.
What do you want them to do? Are you going to give them to a stupid-ass non-for-profit that was going to have night basketball or some old pussy-ass shit that's not going to fucking work? Don't act like a check can solve this. There's a lot of hardcore things in those communities.
Should put money into creating a Luke Cage. That's a great show. I like that show.
Some crazy serums.
Could we get like a mutant down there? No, I hear you, man. Like, it's one of those things where, there's. I wanted to share your post. No, go ahead.
Only reason I have to get real like that is because I have to take on that. Fuck it. If Chris Rock said the exact same shit I'm saying, nobody would say shit. Or Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm putting myself in that mode. Like, I'm smart enough to know there's nuances about this, and that shit is stupid.
This is funny you mentioned Chappelle because this comic, I'm not going to name his name, it doesn't matter. Not that his name doesn't matter, but it's not the point of this. He got banned from Facebook for saying something they called whatever he posted was racist for some reason. I don't even know. But he's a black guy, and so he's like, I can't say white people because I'm gonna get in trouble. So he like was renaming. So these LaCroix drinkers need to do this, this, and the last thing he said was these John Mayer concert goers. And then I was like, Dave Chappelle and John Mayer are really tight. Like, right. I was skipping. He's like, well, I don't know if he's going to the concerts, but they hang out. I was like, dude, I'm fucking with you.
No,
because you're playing up these stereotypes. Yeah. But like, I don't know. It's funny that you mentioned Chappelle because you're right though. That's another thing that's annoying. That's why sometimes I have to stay out of some things that I would like to throw in my 2 cents. Like with the whole thing with, I saw some people comment saying like, well, a lot of money gets invested in the north side that doesn't get invested in the south side. Now, as far as city taxpayer money goes, I think that's a good point. I think city taxpayer money could have some positive impact, but you're right. What's the next plan? What are we going to spend the money on?
Joe, listen to
you can't just, you got to spend the money smart.
People are saying that they sound stupid as fuck. Okay. Like Nestor Gomez. Okay, Nestor.
I don't know Nestor.
Nestor Gomez is a Mexican immigrant, legal citizen. He does a Moth Story Slam, one of my favorite people in the world. Great storyteller, got a great story to tell. But I think he just hears things that other people in the echo chamber say. Like, what about the $50 million they gave at Navy Pier for the lot? Motherfucker, that's Navy Pier, nigga.
Yeah.
That's money to be made. You know who's part of that? My boy Israel Adonijay.
Yeah.
Is one of the funders for that.
Yeah, former Bears player.
It's like, it's reasons like they're going to spend money up here where Wrigley Field is because motherfuckers come up here. If it was...
Because it's an investment then.
It's an investment.
Yes.
Now, I'm saying like this. They did McCormick Place is new, making money there. If you're saying they should put more money where Comiskey Park is, okay.
Sure, you got an argument there.
What are you talking about? There's no real way to
And they did. City money built a lot of Comiskey Park.
Yeah, and it's like there's no real way to say, oh, if I invest in blah, 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 something's going to happen. Now, these same woke people are the same dumb motherfuckers that I deal with who get angry when they see Mayor Emanuel try to court Amazon and he's going to give this and that. And then the clickbait lead, Amazon giving $50 million to come to Chicago. And that's tax cuts, by the way. He's not cutting them a fucking big check with 2 bitches in bikinis.
Yeah.
It's tax cuts.
Yeah.
Okay? These people, it's gross. You're going to just give Amazon all that money to come here and you closing schools? You so fucking stupid. If Amazon comes here, that means tons of fucking jobs.
Yes.
For the dumbest motherfucker. And the thing is,
people in shipping. So I had a shipping job, so I'm not knocking them. But
I'm saying this: everybody's not going to be a doctor. You got a lot of people that you want to have jobs can't do the fucking work. They're not smart enough.
It's the line in Caddyshack. The world needs ditch diggers too.
That's what I'm saying. Like Amazon's going to come here and offer to do that.
I'm with you, man. I got pissed when people were like upset about that. Also, they wanted to make the Star Wars Museum in Chicago, and they were going to do that on the South Side. It was going to be like near the museum campus, but on the South Side, which was going to coincide with this idea where they were going to like extend Lakeshore Drive over, which would have helped traffic down through like I can't remember. It was going to go over this one area, which would have gone down to like the beach that's along maybe near 47th. I think there's a beach along there. But like, and it was,
they did all that because this is a new boat slip.
Oh, they did. Cool. I mean, this was years ago. I read this when I was still in LA.
That whole area of the beach is fine, but a lot of those people just first of all, like to hear themselves talk self-righteous bullshit.
I would agree there, man.
We can stop this conversation right here, and with that. A lot of people just like to hear them talk self-righteous bullshit that is loose and not even well thought out.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to follow up on another thing too, man. Here's my thoughts on some of the protesting. When it first started in LA, I remember my wife was pregnant at the time, and I got afraid because I remember going, fuck, they're going to do all these protests where they shut down the highway. If your water breaks, we're fucked. Because the hospital we were going to, there's no way to get there other than taking the highway because you go through these hills and shit, right? And I was like, fuck. And I even made like a comment on something going like, look, protest all you want. And I support a lot of these protests. America was founded on protests. I think it's very patriotic to protest. Protest where the fuck, there's some people who hate protests because they just hate fucking shit, I think protest whatever you want. Protest the cracks in your sidewalk. I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? But you need to have some impact with your protest. My big thing with some of these protests was that you're going to lose a lot of people who'd normally be on your side because you just fuck them out of something. Now, if my wife's water broke and I got her in the car and I'm driving down the 134 in LA or was it going the 101 or something, and all of a sudden it's a bunch of people are standing there and I'm fucked and I can't get off an exit. Fuck you, dude. I'm already like, you know what? Because we forget this. I talked about this on the podcast before with someone. People vote with their middle finger. Most people, if you live on Facebook and live in social media, and I've learned not to even hate social media anymore. I used to hate it. Now I'm like, look, it's what it is now. I almost think once I've learned to accept that this is the world we're living in, I've learned to handle it better. You and I were talking earlier about people who are like, they live on it. It's like, dude, you're going to get this pissed off about this thing. You're going to waste all this time and energy you can be doing things that are useful. Yeah. And so those people, there's a sickness to it. They're addicted to hearing themselves talk, like you mentioned. And that's definitely something that needs to... But if you live on Facebook, you think the world's the worst it's ever been. And look, there's a lot of shit in the world that's terrible, but it's not the worst it's ever been. Not even fucking close.
Like, you don't know what...
Like, you've been to a concentration camp, so you fucking know.
I remember... I used to work right when I started stand-up, I used to work at this company that I had to go to India a few times.
Wow, yeah.
Talk about not having a pot to piss in.
Yeah, you got a billion people in there too.
You know what I'm saying? Like I got relatives who live in the Caribbean, or I have some friends who are relatives who live in Haiti and shit. You don't know what the fuck you talking about. Like, that's what I'm saying. With all these people, we don't have this. And I used to substitute teaching in Harvey, Illinois, in between gigs when I would get laid off or whatever. Go sit up in Harvey. I was like, y'all motherfuckers got it great. You got running hot water. You talking about playing video games with air conditioning and are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah. The poorest person in America, which of course we feel for you, is still better off than 90% of the planet.
Balling.
Yes. Compared to 90. You're right. Balling. And I think what I wanted to add to the protest thing, and again, like I said before, I support protests. I think there's so much in the world right now where people are looking at it the wrong way. I think a lot of these protests, I'll say it's like this. They're protesting analog style, but we're in a digital world now. So what worked 50, 60 years ago, I don't think works today.
No.
There's better ways to get it done. I remember people saying, like, look, you have to disrupt the flow. So when we block out these highways, I go, how about you want to really disrupt the flow and get attention? Where's the attention?
Money.
Right? Yeah, money. Also, why don't you take the 1,000 people who just blocked off a major highway and fucked over people who were probably in your same situation? You know what I mean? You got that like single parent fucking trying to drive to her third job, and all of a sudden you just fucked her up. And she's like, I have the same fears you do, but now I'm fucking pissed off with you, and I'm about to lose my job because of this shit, because I forgot to check the news that you were doing a protest today, because I'm too busy to fucking check Facebook and all this other bullshit to see when you're organizing this stuff, right? And why don't they take those same 1,000 people and go camp out on the steps of CNN? Go camp out on the steps of NBC, all the news networks, because that's how you get media attention. Fuck up their day. Fuck up the reporters' day. Fuck up that. Why not do that shit?
That's.
But they're too busy thinking, look, when Martin Luther King when they walked the bridge on Selma, that was there was 3 news networks. We were talking about this earlier. There was 3 networks. It was just a different world. You got to get into this new.
There's like people more apt to respond if they got 1,000 tweets at them versus a whole bunch of people marching.
That's true.
It's not the same. It's not the fucking same thing.
It's true.
0%. I've always said that it's not the same thing. And I got in trouble, you know, where this one girl was saying like, you know, black women have it so hard, and she was quoting a Malcolm X quote. Black women have it so hard from this, and that. And I was like, how dare you use that motherfucking quote in 2018? I know black women got it hard, white women got it hard, people got it hard. I get what you're saying. You're like, I don't see myself represented in the media. I'm like, in this age of Beyonce, bitch, are you kidding me? I was like, I went. You can go to that Walgreens right there, go down the cosmetic aisle, and you'll see shades of all type of women. That was not happening in the 80s. You would go into a Walgreens, it'll be just all white bitches and Maybelline and all that. Sure. Now you go in there, you see all type of shades, this, and that. You telling me in this age of motherfucking Beyonce, you can't figure it out? You gonna use a Malcolm X quote from 1961? That's disrespectful to your mama and your grandmama who actually had real shit going on in their motherfucking life. They had racism, and they had like, you know, sexism, all this shit you talking about, on top of some Jim Crow. Bitch. Real talk.
Yeah, man. Fuck,
I gotta
dude.
go.
You do? All right. Well, look, man. Yeah, we've been over here for a little over an hour, and I'm. Dude,
this is an hour?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Are you good? Well, I don't know if you actually had to go, like you were serious, or you were just saying, like, fuck you. I
do.
No, I got you, man. Cool, man. I appreciate you for being on the podcast.
But do anything else?
Well, no, I just wanted to. If we could just. I agree with what you're saying completely. It's fucking funny because like. You ever feel like when people fight against you, like you were saying, I think you just said it, you summed it up perfectly. People just like to hear themselves talk.
I hear them talk, but I'm always like this. At first, I said, you know what? I could do I got my first album coming out in September, right?
Fuck yeah, congrats. Everybody will be on the lookout for that.
Look at Babylon Ball Z. It's going to be dope. And I was like,
should I
go in like PR mode and just be nice? Like, no, I'm going to keep it motherfucking real because I know what I'm saying is just. I'm not coming at it from some Sean Hannity or some Tucker Carlson type of contrarian type of bullshit. I'm saying like, dude, I hear what you're saying, but understand there's other people who have a different point of view, but that might be on your same page. Like I said, like with the abortion thing, I say this. Like my mother, for example, does not believe in abortion. She believes she's a Christian point of view, but I'm not going to tell somebody what to do in that situation. I can pray with them and try to talk them out of it, but if they make that decision, I'm going to support that person in that decision.
Sure.
You just saying?
Now there's an old school thought where it's like, hate the sin, love the sinner.
And that's a prime example of how more people should be. Like,
not that we're saying who's a sinner or whatever.
It's like, hey, here's how I believe. Here's some other options. Hope you do it. I'm not pushing my bullshit off on you. I still think it's bad, but if you don't do it, I'm going to support you.
Yes,
so it's all
that's a good way to
there.
be.
You know what I'm saying? It's all out there. And if more people did that, just understand we on the same page. But like, when I go back to that protest where they shut down the Mac store on Black Friday because the thing like, okay, that was powerful, great. Some people just got shot from cops a few weeks ago. That's not the solution. You know what I'm saying? Mac took a hit that day, but you didn't stop Apple from making billions of dollars on faulty ass charger wires that go faulty all the time. You see what I'm saying? That's real. You know how you stop police brutality and police shootings, Joe? And you heard it here on Kilgallon's Pub. It's training. You have to train these cops different. There's a reason that the cops in Salt Lake City, Utah, have not killed nobody in like 5 years. Because they train them different. They're trained in interaction, de-escalation, and you might think, oh, it's only white people in Utah. No. The version of the blacks in Utah are those American Indians
that live
on those
reservations,
and they got their own issues. So they got some minorities to deal with, plus crazy ass white people on meth.
Yeah,
so they got their version of the blacks or of the others, but they figured out how not to shoot nobody because they use German police techniques, from the Netherlands techniques, All those European places, look at their stats, they don't be killing nobody.
Yeah. Because there's
And-
definitely, it's not, it's, I think,
And I'm just talking, and Joe, I'm not just talking about cops killing black people. That's why I said, y'all, it's the first of all, the media is spinning you into a frenzy with this shit because for sure it's gross. And I'm the blackest thing on these microphones right now. And I just got arrested, Joe, the last time I was here by 2 black chicks. Sit down to the station because I was driving around license, right? I didn't get shot, but that's not the situation. I'm saying I have skin in the game, so I'm not saying anything against it. But at the end of the day, you have to realize if you train these dudes differently, you'll get a different result.
I would agree there.
If the judicial system wasn't fucked up from the core, you would have a different result as far as how many people in jail.
Yeah, so many of our systems are a couple decades behind.
A couple of behind, so you can't blame
decades,
someone
yeah.
for saying like, I get police brutality, but at the end of the day, you should be using that energy you're doing to shut down the expressway, to shut down whatever whack ass alderman. You need to.
Yeah, why not? Like, why
This is
not
my
just
thing.
march on the alderman's office?
All
Yeah,
this
there's
energy
just other
that
ways to
people
do it. I
have
think
for
that
all
would be
this
more
bullshit.
impactful.
And that's what I'm saying. People get distracted by Donald Trump. I'm saying, dude, fuck Donald Trump. You have more power to control how your day-to-day life interacts with the alderman that is on the city council that passes laws that affect your city.
That's a great point.
If you have a whole bunch of aldermen who are on the same page of everybody's wokeness, that say, here's our manifesto of woke shit, you put motherfuckers in office to do that. I don't care what kind of bully mayor Emmanuel is. He can't do shit with a whole bunch of suck butt ass aldermen who suck his dick and do whatever. And he's my dude. I know this guy. Hey, I mean, he's doing what he got to do. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hear you, man.
So you
for
can't
sure.
be mad at me because I think marching is stupid. I just gave you a legitimate path to get what you want.
I just want more solutions because
That's a
I think we
solution.
all. Yeah, I know. I agree with you. I just think the people who are like, all the arguments I see, I'm just like, fucking give me an answer. Don't just go on Brian Babylon's page and tell me he's wrong. Give a suggestion on how it's going to fucking work. You know what I mean? Like,
They can't
because
do that.
we all want the violence to stop, right?
Marching is the only, but you gotta give people the right. I said, dude, like, then it's not gonna happen. It's still gonna be some knucklehead. That's what I'm saying. Like, march happened on Thursday, whatever. 63 people got shot.
Yeah.
What the fuck is you talking about?
So like, I'm going to add this, and then we'll finish this up. Someone mentioned they need to invest more, and you said they are investing more, it just doesn't do shit. Yeah, people forget, and this goes for a lot of city stuff with like public schools in general, because the public schools in Chicago, especially the grade schools, are okay. The high schools a lot of them are fucking bad. Is that I don't think they need to invest more money. I think they need to invest the money better. Like it's like Moneyball. You see the movie Moneyball?
And Joe,
they're not spending the right dollars in the right spots. I
as
feel
a
like,
substitute
right?
teacher, Joe, I'm gonna tell you this. I don't care if you gave every kid a laptop and a motherfucking robot. If the kid comes from a fucked up
Sounds
home,
like a cool thing, though.
and you know what I'm saying,
Yeah,
a fucked
you're
up
right, you're right,
home,
yeah.
and doesn't have that sensibility to know how to navigate life, he's not gonna fucking make it. I've seen kids who come from fucked up homes, finds his way into some type of random mentoring program. There are tons of those out there. Gets with some positive people, understands that this situation is bad. I know kids like that. I can pull my phone out on kids that I've known from high school that come from fucked up situations. Like, met me, fuck it, I'll say it, met me, put him in a better situation. Hey, hang out with this person, he's doing well. Hang out with better people. You look up, you 18, there's tons of ways to go to some random JUCO for free, and there's ways in this system to navigate.
I'm glad you brought that up. I read a thing today
There's
that said
ways to
mentorships are something that millennials are looking at as this very big positive thing, and one of the things that they will actually they get the most out of.
Dude, there's tons of mentorships to save an inner city kid who goes to a shitty school. Okay, you can't, even if you say, okay, I'm gonna pour money into the school, that kid at that moment won't benefit from whatever check you cut that day.
That's true.
There's tons of ways to help a kid in situations. So if they're not invested in that, you have to go somewhere where they are investing. Or go back to my first plan, put a group of aldermen in place to change that situation immediately. These elections happen quick.
They do.
And a lot of these aldermen,
I'm seeing the lawn signs already.
A lot of these aldermen have been sitting around for decades.
They get comfortable.
Get comfy as fuck.
For sure, man. Brian Babylon, dude, thank you, man. This was a fun conversation.
Word up.
I like your brain, man. You got your business ideas really made me think. I'm lazy because I'm like, I want to open up a bar. You got fucking, dude, that's some smart stuff with 3D printers, fancy porta potties. People are always going to need a shit.
Always in the shit and always need to have a widget.
Fuck yeah, dude. All right, man. Brian Babylon, anything last you want to say to let people know where to find you?
Hey, Brian Babylon, Instagram, all social media.
You got your name on everything, right?
I'm on everything.
Good man.
My album comes out September 21st now.
That's my birthday.
Word up.
It's a Friday. Yeah, fuck yeah, dude. I'll be 34.
And I'm always here in Chicago at the Laugh Factory. Support Chicago.
One last quick joke.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people don't know your age.
Yeah.
And I know you're not going to say it because you don't have to. But if I were able, like I remember when on Seinfeld, when Kramer first revealed his first name, it was his big moment. If I were to be able to get you to say your name on this podcast, my podcast would get 1 million downloads. Because everybody's always been like, how old is Brian Babylon? You don't have to say it. I'm not pressuring you.
Like to keep that,
but it's a funny thing, dude. You got to keep that in your back pocket because one day you could do a thing where it's like, everybody come to this show. Brian Babylon's headlining the Chicago Theater. You got to do it like some big fucking 5,000 seater, and that's when you reveal your age for the first time.
I've dropped a few clues on this podcast.
People are like, is he 30 or 40 or what? You know what I mean? People are not.
I'm definitely not 30.
I know you dropped a couple clues, but that's one of those things it's a long time thing in the Chicago comedy scene. I'm not sure if you know this.
Where
people are like, I'm not sure.
That is very
because you dress cool. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You got your fingers on the pulse of what's happening.
But I'm very wise.
But you're very wise.
It's funny.
You know what I mean? Because we know Will Miles is a friend of ours. Clark Jones is a friend of ours. Mm-hmm. Those dudes are young, dress cool. They're not wise like you.
No.
So that's right away they reveal their age with their fucking some of their silly shit. And I'm with them. I'm the same. They're smarter than me, those dudes. So I'm not even knocking them in that sense. But you got that mystery to you. It's cool, man. I like it.
That's all PR spin.
Smart man.
Kilgallon's Pub in the building. Open. What?
I was gonna open one day. I changed the logo for the podcast where I wrote Kilgallon's Pub Podcast, USA, as if that's a town. Podcast USA, established 2018. One day I'll open up a pub, and then I'll like to diversify. Maybe I want to sell experience because I think the future is people doing experiences. They want to buy experiences.
I'm gonna end on this. Here's my business brain. You don't do a hardcore brick and mortar. I'm gonna tell you, what's popping up now is pop-ups. Kilgallon Pub pop-up.
I like that, man.
Where you get my fancy porta potty situation.
Yes, because people have to pee and shit.
And then you get somewhere that you can
get like a taco truck in front, get some Irish food. I love it, but it's not great.
Somewhere that you can consume alcohol in whatever situation. That's the pop-up.
That's a good idea. That's a great idea.
No brick and mortar. Don't get tied down. Just make the money.
The leases, and then you got insurance liability, all that shit. You're right, man. Brian Babylon, thanks so much for doing it, dude. This has been Kilgallon's Pub. Thanks, everybody.
Out.